Hello, I'm Marcus Boston. Today I would like to talk with you about paying for future care for a baby with HIE. Now, the context of this video, or to help you understand why I'm talking about this today, is this discussion came up with an individual who contacted us about what was going on with their child. And what I would like to say, just getting started, is I think that sometimes what can happen is families who are in this type of situation and they're dealing with their baby's challenges, sometimes what can happen is the focus is immediately, it's on what is going on right now, and that is totally understandable that the focus is right now. With that said, sometimes you have to also remember you got to step back and you have to also take into consideration, okay, what is going to happen as we go down the line. And that is what was really on the mind of this individual who contacted us. And the point was, all right, well, we've got to deal with what we're dealing with right now. We've got medical care stuff that we're having to deal with, feeding tubes, wheelchairs, all of these things that are going to be needed. And so for this video, I would like to talk with you about why a life care plan, when it comes to birth trauma cases, why these things are so important and how they allow attorneys to help put the damages portion of your case together to look into the future and to help the family pay for these future costs. All right, so it's no secret in America that healthcare is expensive. I mean, it's really expensive in this country. And babies who have HIE, depending on the severity of the diagnosis or the condition, these babies may have certain challenges moving into the future. And for families, that is a real concern. And so when we are looking at these cases, what we're trying to determine is, what is this baby going to need moving into the future? And based on these needs, how much is this going to cost to be able to care for this baby? Because the goal is to allow that child, as it gets older, to live the best life that it possibly can based on the circumstances. And so a life care planner, this is a professional, and they can have either you have a vocational rehabilitation specialist, or someone with a medical background, or even someone with a legal background. These individuals, they become professionals in writing what we call life care plans. And for these types of cases, what we normally would do is we have the certified life care planner to come out and to meet the family and to see the family, because this way they can get a really good feel as to what this family has going on. They can get a really good feel as to the interaction. So it's not just enough to take a look at the medical records and look at the history that way. It's also important to see things like, okay, what are the living arrangements? What are the living arrangements? If you have, let's say hypothetically, you have a child that as it gets older, this child is going to have mobility issues because of their HIE diagnosis. They're going to have some mobility issues, and especially if there's a subsequent cerebral palsy diagnosis. And let's say this child needs a wheelchair. Well, we know for a fact that wheelchairs don't last forever. Over time, you have to be able to buy a new wheelchair as the older one, as it gets older and it's not working as well, especially if it's mechanical or something like that. So in this life care plan, hypothetically, you would have to put the wheelchair in there. You'd have to make space for the type of wheelchair that's going to be needed and the cost of this wheelchair and how much this wheelchair is going to cost over time as this child needs the wheelchair. That's just a simple example of it. Other things that you have to take into consideration. What about diapers? What about wipes and things of that nature? These are things that have to be thought about as time goes forward, because they cost money to be able to purchase these things. And so that life care planner is going to look at certain things like this. Another thing, let's say, for example, that the family, they live in a two-story condo or a townhouse and there's steps. Remember I said earlier, the baby will need a wheelchair. Well, trying to go up and down steps with a wheelchair, that may not be best for that child. That may not allow that child to be able to have the best life possible in that circumstance. And so if we can help, if we can put in the life care plan, take into consideration those issues. Maybe a ranch house is the better way to go. Maybe instead of carpeted floors, maybe hardwood floors would be the better way to go. Or maybe there can be certain renovations that can take place that can allow the baby to go up and down in regards to the current home setup. So the purpose of this video is to try to help you understand this really important component about these types of cases and being able to pay into the future, or being able to cover the long-term care for a baby that has HIE. Now, I know in some cases that there are governmental programs, there are other programs that are in place in regards to children like this. But with that being said, you have to also sometimes you have to be on the lookout for certain stipulations that may be present with some of these programs, if there's income issues that are associated with certain types of programs. So there are government programs that can help in some cases, but when we're talking about life care plans and we're talking about things of this nature, these are specific things that are put together for your specific child going into the future. And then this is added into what we call the damages, that fourth element, the damages component of these cases. So that is the purpose of today's video. I know this one's a little bit longer than what I normally do, but I was really trying to help you understand this cost issue and being able to meet the challenges for your baby, especially if it has an HIE diagnosis or even a subsequent CP or cerebral palsy diagnosis, and being able to think about, okay, some of the concerns that may be out there going into the future. It's important to take a look at what's happening right now, but you also have to keep in mind as the baby gets older, 5 years old, 10 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old, what things are going to be in place to help moving forward. All right, that's going to be it for today's quick video. If you have more questions, there's a telephone number on the screen. Go ahead and pick up the phone and give me a call. I talk with families all the time about these types of issues. This is what we do. One more thing before I leave, I practice law here in the state of Maryland. If you contact me and you're not in Maryland, you have to understand that if this is a case or if this is something that we think that we can assist you further with, that we have to use an attorney in your state or what we call co-counsel or local counsel to help move the case forward. All right, that's going to be it for today's quick educational video. Again, I'm Marcus Boston, and I'm one of the childbirth, injury, and medical malpractice attorneys practicing law here in the state of Maryland at Boston Law Group, LLC. We will see you next time. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.